but make Blake Corum a priority mid-round fantasy pick. I have to preface something here. Far be it from me to talk about a guy being injury prone. Okay, Harmon. A month ago, I threw my back out at a golf tournament on the second swing of the day. Very bad. So I tell.
I'm sorry.
I tell that story because 2 weeks after that, I was already had a planned 40th birthday trip to golf in this beautiful course in Half Moon Bay. So I still went on the trip, but I only rode the course because I was still dealing with this back problem. And someone hit the ball toward my cart and yelled 4. And like an idiot, instead of ducking and covered, I jumped out of the cart, nailed my ribs on the side of this cart, might have broken it or something. But for the past month, I've been immobilized with bad injuries, including the second one, hurting myself while riding along, not golfing, riding along because I was injured with a bad back. So again, far be it from me to criticize someone for being injury prone because I'm not exactly durable myself. That said, Kyren Williams sustained a serious high ankle sprain in that NFL debut. Do you remember the kickoff return as a rookie? Played through a hip contusion last season before then finally being placed on the IR midseason with an ankle sprain. Suffered a broken hand during their playoff loss that would have also sidelined him for weeks. He's a fifth rounder, not hugely built. He was bad as a receiver last year too. Among 46 running backs with 30 plus targets, he ranked 42nd in yards per target, last in yards per route run, and last in PFS receiving grades among running backs. He saw 3 total targets over his final 3 games. Corum, meanwhile, is not an elite athlete. He's really bad forced tackle numbers after suffering this torn meniscus, but 47 touchdowns final 2 years at Michigan. I believe like all but one are from inside the 5. It's wild. At minimum, he's going to be a goal line option. You love the fact he's similar to Kyren. So if he's not an elite athlete, but he's doing, he could be great in this Rams system. They averaged the most yards per play last season when healthy, when all the guys were healthy in LA. Second highest EPA per rush. So man, if Kyren Williams goes down, a risky top 15 pick in these drafts, Corum just going to be one of those fantasy difference makers in the second half.
Okay, so I'm generally with you on everything you just said about Blake Corum. Like you can balk at like resource allocation, a third round running back when you have a guy who played really well for you last year. But anybody that played fantasy last year knows that Kyren Williams was awesome. Trying to find somebody to like the waiver wire speed dial replacement for Kyren Williams sucked. Even the Rams went out and they signed like Darrell Henderson as a reunion with him. They went out and got Royce Freeman. They were not going to give Zach Evans any carries. That's for sure. At no point was that happening. And like Royce Freeman kind of looked all right at times. I think he was pretty decent for the Rams, but now he's with Dallas. Darrell Henderson thing didn't work out. The other guys like Ronnie Rivers, I mean, they did not have a true like just understudy to just throw right in the Kyren Williams role. Now they do. And considering how much Dalton they've clearly told us by their offseason moves, they want to lean into this power run, man gap scheme, attack at you run game. Why would you you don't want to be in that situation again when Kyren Williams goes down. You're like, shoot, what are we going to do? Like now they have a guy they can just plop right in there. I do think, and there's also outcomes, Dalton, where like, yeah, what if Blake Corum is better than Kyren Williams? I think that's at least possible. Maybe it's like 15% in the range of outcomes, but it is at least in the range of outcomes, in my opinion. But I'm with you with what you said there. But let's just actually put pen to paper on this. When you say make him a mid-round priority, what area of the draft are you thinking when you say that?
Yeah, great question. I haven't done enough to point him out exactly where there. I have him as my RB 37, and his ECR is 43. But we're talking Tyjae Spears, Zach Moss type. Maybe people are going to be in on Zach Moss. I'm not. But I'm taking him over Javonte Williams. Okay, Chase Brown, right around that area, that kind of upside, I'd say there. I would take him over like Javonte Williams. And then conversely, I'm taking Derrick Henry over Kyren Williams 8 days a week. Okay, that is what I want to hammer home here, is that I'm worried about Kyren Williams early and Derrick Henry. I know that's so not brand of me to draft an older back, but man, I just love the setup there. And he's just, he's the big dog. So draft Henry over, even in PPR, I'm drafting Henry over Kyren Williams, who's going high. You don't even have to make that decision. I mean, Kyren's going a round ahead of him.
Yeah. Okay. Great like names to throw out there. Sticking on the Kyron Williams one, just in terms of early best ball ADP. This is how the running backs go: Christian McCaffrey, Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, then Kyron Williams. I think I'm with you that I'm okay with all those backs going ahead of him. I'd take all those backs ahead of him. The backs after him: Devon Achane, Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne, the aforementioned Derrick Henry, and then Rachaad White make up the rest of the top 12. I think the only one of those names that I said after Kyron that I would take ahead of Kyron is Derrick Henry. The other guys, I still think from an upside standpoint, Kyron Williams gives you a higher ceiling I think maybe even a higher ceiling floor combination if he stays healthy than an Achane, a Jacobs, or an Etienne, and a White. Am I wrong about that?
You're not. I still have Williams above them all. I've been really leaning toward Pacheco. I've been liking more. You look at his receiving numbers down the stretch, and if they they haven't brought back McKinnon, I could even be talked into Mixon just because such that role and he stays healthy in Houston. But no, as of now, I have Henry and Barkley ahead of Williams, but then every single person you named, even Achane, I have below Williams because man, McVay loves a lead workhorse, and if he does stay healthy, or even if he does miss another month of the year, he's going to be at top 5 volume when he's on there. So, but I want to hammer home Derrick Henry, man. You look at the shotgun splits, the win-loss splits, everything, and like he hasn't dropped off as a player much. It's just the situation he was in, and he goes from a bottom 5 to a top 3. Derrick Henry could score 20 touchdowns this season.
Yeah, I think he's going to smash. Andy's also in on Derrick Henry. I think this is going to be a very pro Derrick Henry podcast this offseason. The guys around Blake Corum in that same tier: Devin Singletary, Chase Brown, Gus Edwards, Blake Corum, Jerome Ford, Zach Charbonnet, Jalen Wright, running back 42, what Chuba Hubbard, like what are we doing here? I think that Blake Corum stands out there, that like there are some guys, Dalton, in that group where Chase Brown maybe projects for more usability depending on how you feel about that backfield. I'm more pro Zach Moss maybe than you are. Devin Singletary, he's the lead back for the Giants. Tajay Spears, I don't know. Jerome Ford, is he the lead back for Cleveland? Like Blake Corum probably has a lower week-to-week floor than any of those guys, but I think he's a great pick in that range, because if he ends up getting I would never take Kyron Williams, Blake Corum on the same team. Don't do that to yourself, because I think you're just shredding one of the you're shredding one pick there. But from an overall season long standpoint, I would take Blake Corum there and just ride out that bench spot with him.
Yeah, maybe it depends on your build. If you need safety, Devin Singletary and Gus Edwards, if you really need a back there, are definitely going to help you out week to week more. But Corum, the upside, and a guy who could be, suddenly he's ranked as a top 5 fantasy back if he's starting for the Rams any given week, in a good matchup. Is that kind of upside.